Hello, you garden people out there, and welcome back to another episode of Lost in the Farmer's Market, where today we're looking at this lovely specimen in front of you, and boy, the sun came out and it's gotten hot. Woo, boy. But this is a southern favorite, though not the one you think. This is okra, and there's a pod that I've left on. I'm actually producing seed with that pod. But anyway, that's okra for you. Now, okra, its scientific name is Abelmoschus esculentus. This specific variety is Iraqi Bamia, and I got this as a world seed item because supposedly it is heat and drought tolerant. And boy, is it. This specimen, I'm actually growing this pod here. Look at the size of that pod. I'm growing that to get seed. Any other pod that comes on this plant, there's a flower that's about to do the do, and here's one that is about to open next to the pod, and then a nice cluster here. But this one I'm harvesting, keeping that pot on there for seed because it is branchy, and I like that genetic feature on this one. The other specimen plant isn't branchy at all. In fact, it's almost as tall as the chia, and that is a pod that I have to harvest up there. But anyway, look at the size of that. Don't worry, just because it's pomade, it's not marijuana. Calm down, kids. Anyway, okra is in the Malvaceae family, which is the hibiscus family. The scientific name Abelmoschus is from Arabic, father of musk. Esculentus means edible. So there you go. The word okra comes from Igbo, okururu, which I'm sure I mangled, so if y'all want to give me a pronunciation key in the comments, please. I would appreciate it. Jeez. Sorry, mosquitoes. They are thirsty today. Good lord. They are so thirsty. And oh, what is that? Look at this. That is a that is a turmeric. Why is that in there? I don't know. This garden does marvelous things all the time. But anyway, where was I? Yeah, so this particular species, although okra originates in Africa, this particular species was bred and created in Iraq, henceforth Iraqi Bamia. This plant can be grown in USDA zones 5 through 11 and is considered an annual. I don't know where it would be a perennial off the top of my head. I'm assuming like zone 12 or something, but I don't know that for sure. Its soil pH preference is 6.0 to 6.8. Its exposure is full sun, but it will tolerate partial shade, and out here I have it in full sun essentially. The height can be 6 to 8 inches, but the full height of this plant is uncertain. But from these two, I'm going to say 8 to 9 feet is not out of the question. I got an okra to about 12 feet one year. It was quite the prize until it snapped in half, and then I had to jerry rig it back together. Let's see. Its width can be 2 to 4 feet, which the specimen on camera is definitely meeting that goal. The other one is so skinny that it's not even close. But you know what? That's genetic diversity for you. Now, these okra is also known as lady's fingers for some weird reason, and this specimen, I'm sorry. If your lady's fingers looks like this okra, she needs to see a doctor. Just saying. Traditionally they're called lady fingers because they're narrow and green. And, some okra, the okra that may have caused that name may have been more pale like this. Now, the name Bamia itself, by the way, means okra. So it's Iraqi okra. Forgot to mention that. The pods are best picked at 3 to 5 inches. Now, when they get like this, they're fibrous. And okra pods can go from that to almost this in about 2 or 3 days. So you have to keep on it. You have to keep an eye on it. So I'm going to lift the camera up in a way I've never done on this show before. This guy up here is ready to harvest. That's tender. Any bigger, and it'll have fibers, and as I cut it, it'll go crunch, 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 which you just really don't want. I've had to eat those before. Once stewed, they're okay-ish, but I wouldn't serve it to another person. Anyway, so the interesting thing about okra, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about it, because people feel a certain kind of way about okra. First and foremost, okra is a versatile plant in that It has a long history. Now, I wrote a blog article called Brothers in Arms, which referred to the relation between okra and cotton ages ago. So we're not going to get into the details, but I'm going to talk about cooking okra. See, everybody does, well, not everybody, but a bunch of people go, I don't like okra because it's slimy. Yes, when it's undercooked and raw, it is in fact slimy. That's the mucilage that it actually is famous for, because that mucilage is used to thicken soups and stews in the absence of something like cornstarch or flour or something like that. However, I find that when I put it in soups and whatnot, if I cook it for about 20 minutes on boil, maybe a little longer depending what else is in the pot, the stew itself thickens and the slimy feature goes away. It's not a permanent feature, so you have to cook it down basically. It just means more cooking. I'm not going to give you any of that nonsense about, oh, well, you haven't tried it right or it hasn't been cooked right. There's literally a right and a wrong way to cook it. And a lot of people who don't like okra don't bother to look into the correct way to cook it, and that is that you have to cook it fully. If it's undercooked, it's going to alter all the liquid in whatever it's cooked with. Now, in some cases, that's acceptable because, when it's cooked in with, if it's pre cooked and then added in the water for rice, it'll cook down nicely and the rice will be stickier than normal but not slimy. And there's a bunch of other ways to use this. Also, okra seeds themselves, when ripe, can be roasted and used as a cheap caffeine free coffee substitute. I've tried it. It's close, but clearly I need to figure out roasting better. But it is possible. Additionally, pound for pound, love or hate okra, you will get a lot of product out of a very few plants. Currently, I have several pounds of okra in the freezer from these two plants, two Iraqi Bamia plants. And every year, like I do red Burgundy, Clemson Spineless, and a different variety, I'm pleased with them, but this one has been the best. I mean, again, look at the size of that pod. It only needs to be half that size to be perfect, and it keeps belting them out. And it took summer heat like nothing. So that's Iraqi Bamia Okra for you. If you have any questions or comments about this variety, like you want to know where I got it or how I got it, just put it in the comments section. I will gladly respond, as I always do. Um, the blog is updating, as always, and you know, if you like this episode, please hit like. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. Helps the channel, and as always, folks, keep them growing, and thanks for watching. Okra.